G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the YouTube channel. How are we all doing today? I'm just getting lost in some back streets because I just visited one of my cousins and I have currently no idea sort of where I am. But we out here boogieing. We got 3 hours of sleep and we're ready to party. What's been happening? Mate, I have a pretty good topic for us riders, but it's more so towards the newbie riders today, but it's always fun to listen if otherwise. And that today, ladies and gents, is that new riders, beginner riders, seem to focus on one thing, or two very simple things. That's CCs and horsepower, or kilowatts if you're in every other country that isn't, you know, all about that system. Now look, CCs can matter up to a certain degree, but if you're restricted to like A2 licenses where they can do electronic limiting on bigger engines, that might be a bit different. But if you're like in Australia where you're limited to 660 cc's and anything under is allowed, but not 600cc sports bike stuff, well then this is a bit more up your alley, mate, I tells you. Because the reason I say this is because, mate, when you're a learner rider, there are a few things that you need to focus on, and none of them are that you should be focusing on engine, CC and power, okay? As a learner rider, you should be focusing on how to bloody ride your bike, and that's pretty much it. Because I can tell you what, I bought a little Rebel 500 because I knew it wasn't too powerful, little 471cc engine. Now look, she ain't slow, but she ain't fast either, right? There's a thing about misconception with bikes is you need the bigger engine to go fast, especially as a learner, you let grow your bike. Now look, it is true to a degree, but it's not the end of the world. No rider on the street can on average can handle a 500cc bike to its full potential, right? But realistically, we just want a bike that accelerates faster. And look, there's nothing wrong with that. You can always want a faster bike, but there's always a faster bike, there's always a torquier bike. It's just the nature of bikes, okay? As a learner, you should be focusing on getting your bike on the road, make sure you have 2 wheels on the ground, not in the air, and just practicing your skills. Because, look, I understand the draw for a fast bike. I know because I'm feeling it now myself, but at the end of the day, riding a fast bike is not something you should be doing as a beginner, so none of these R1 boys should be trying to do that as a first bike. It's stupid, all right? It's no other way to put it. It's not smart. It's unwise, and you're probably going to hurt yourself, or you're just going to make a stupid decision to buy the cheaper bike with a bigger engine than a newer bike that works better, unless you are very, very, you know, mechanically minded and you know what you're doing, which I can guarantee most of you probably don't, because most people who are getting into bikes don't have mechanical knowledge, and you're sort of learning as you go. Now, I'll take this in for instance. The boy you used to see on my channel with the CBR250R, right? The MC19. It is a little 250 screamer. It makes bugger all power, but I tell you what, it is one of the most fun motorcycles I have ever ridden. It weighs nothing, and it is just a thrill, all right? You have to thrash it everywhere. You can get a good lead on it, and of course, it's just a good time. It's not something you do when you get onto the bigger power bands and all that. So if you're in a country that you don't have the restrictions, you just want to go bigger bike, when you have a faster bike, issues can arise much faster in the sense of danger, okay? Look, when you're on a slow bike, the distance comes at you much slower than if you're going 300 kilometers an hour, all right? So the margin for error is much smaller on a 1000cc bike, go figure, than a little 250. Also, with a little engine bike, you don't really have to worry about the risk of spinning out your tire around a corner as much. Like, low siding can happen, I can tell you that because I've done it. But the chance of low siding under too much throttle is not as high as if you get like a bloody V4 and you just pin it. You'll either flip the bike, slide the bike, or worse, okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, as a beginner rider, you should really be focusing on a bike that fits you. It doesn't need to be a fast choice, it doesn't need to be a bloody rocket ship. It can just be a simple cruiser, it could be a naked, doesn't matter what the bike is, as long as you find that you're comfortable on the said vehicle, because getting used to a vehicle, getting comfortable on a bike is way more important than having a bike that can go fast. And look, I've ridden faster bikes, I enjoy the faster bikes, but I'm glad, one, that I got my license later than 18, because if I got my license at 18 personally, I probably would have had an accident. Maturity helps. And 2, I am just substantially, you know, happier that I understand how to ride. I saw that boy. Little Ninja, was it 400? Yes. get it in you. That's a nice sounding exhaust. But the point being is, when you have a bike that has a respectable amount, you know how to use the bike, you learn how to respect the bike, and it makes you learn how to appreciate the bigger bikes later on, because one, you're not going to thrash it and crash it. That's bloody ripping rhymes, mate. Didn't even realise. I'm a poet and I didn't even realise. Oh, well, I'll tell you what. Just pick a bike that's happy, man. Stop getting lost in the sauce. Otherwise, you're gonna have an accident and crash, or you're gonna have too much money and spend it on something you don't need. Like if you're out here buying an Aprilia RS660 that's restricted as your first bike, you must have a lot of money, because them bitches be expensive. Now, if you're rich and you can afford it, or you're gonna really plan on keeping it later, I can understand it, because, well, it's not a bad bike at all. It is a phenomenal street bike, especially if you get to have, man, if you can de-restrict it, absolutely. I'm going to cut through this alleyway because screw this traffic. Woohoo! God have mercy, I hate that area. Oh, but yeah, I tell you what, man, there's a lot of new riders who have no idea how to respect the bikes they're riding. And it's kind of sad, because that's when you watch them crash. Like, imagine buying a bike and thinking you can ride like Rossi and just to stack it and lose the bike very soon afterwards. I tell you what, it happens too often, and I've seen it happen. This is why I don't really go to the bike nights too often, because, well, for one, I've seen too many accidents where people wheelie into things and crash or land on other bikers, and it doesn't interest me that much. So learn your bike, get something respectable, don't overdo it. You don't need a bloody H2 as a first bike or an R1. Don't be stupid. Look, it's doable. You can you can get started on a leader bike. I'm not saying it's impossible, but stop getting lost in the power and the CCs, because it's a surefire way to guarantee you're probably going to get injured, unless you are absolutely one of those people that can respect the power of a bike and know that you are not the best rider yet. And I know that takes a bit of humility and humbleness that a lot of those people who think that they want to start on those bikes have not got. You know what I mean? A damn shame, boy. I tell you, man, I tried to figure out which direction I was going from that turn for so long. I just turned left and did a U-turn because I was overweighting. Woo! And now, lo and behold, now there's no traffic here. Of course not, but that's the way of the world, mate. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you have taken something back from this video. If you're looking to buy a bike, mate, an R3 is an acceptable bike. You don't need to buy a bloody R7 or an R1. Although an R7 is just a bigger R3 with a cross-plane engine as opposed to a flat-plane engine. They don't rev quite as high, I don't think, actually. But do sound nice, though. Oh, would love to see it. But ladies and gents, I hope you've all enjoyed watching. Forgive me for being a little bit lost, because I have had no sleep, so my thought patterns take a bit of my time to register today. But I hope you take something into account, you do some learning, don't get lost in the sauce, baby, and get yourself sponked. But as always, take it easy, keep it cheesy. You know I love you, but here I have to leave you. Peace, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out. Bye!